My name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget. Hey y'all, it's time for my favorites video, and I realized that my schedule has gotten sort of pushed forward and pushed back and pushed around a little bit. It's gotten to the point where pretty much every month I'm talking about my monthly favorites around the middle of the month. I think it's going to be roughly the middle of September when this posts. I'm still going to call it August favorites, but it's really just all of my favorites recently or my favorites since the last time I posted a favorites video. I hope that's fine. It's gotta be fine. I mean, that's the kind of thing that if it's not fine, then like, how are we gonna live? Anyway, I did want to preface by saying that you guys know that my favorites videos are always focused on things other than like brand new products that have come into my life that I've been testing that I've liked a lot. And how can I say this? As I've spent more time on YouTube and I've received more gifts from brands, and also recently as I've purchased a few big ticket things with my budget that I've really, really loved, I can't help but have developed a group of little favorites that are actually all things that are new to me that have impressed me a lot. But I don't want those to infiltrate this video because I actually really love the practice of sitting down and figuring out what my favorite tendencies have been, what my favorite stylistic choices have been, the kind of style trends and in some cases behavioral or media trends in my life. I actually think it's a really good practice, not just for you and not just for the sake of keeping my channel as a place where kind of the impulse towards consumerism and the excitement about new things is balanced with other ways of appreciating beauty. Not just for that, although that's a big reason why I do it, but also for me. It's just good to be self-aware. It's good to like look at yourself, examine yourself through the lens of something other than products, because it takes the focus off of specific products being like the only things that will do the thing you want, and it shifts the power into your own hands. Like it's a way for me of shifting the power back into my own hands. It's like, these are the trends that I'm into. This is what I want to do. I'm not beholden to brands. I'm not required to purchase things in order to enact those trends. I'm just living my life and feeling my oats. This is all just to say that I love having my favorites video unfold this way every month, and I'm not planning to change that. But this month in particular, there's a full video's worth of things that I want to share with you that actually are new to me products. So what I decided to do is to film a separate video, and it's going to come very close on the heels of this one. It will be called New and New to Me Products That Have Impressed Me or something like that. And that's actually going to be sort of like a traditional favorites video. I just won't plan to do it every month. I'll probably pepper that style of video through the flow of my channel whenever I feel like I have enough things that it's worth filming it. My favorites will stay this, and then that video will pop up from time to time. So the reason that I wanted to foreground it in this video is to let you know that if you are on a no buy or low buy, or if you're really actively trying to keep more shopping style of videos out of your life and only watch other types of content or content that supports more of an anti-consumerist mindset, then you should not, or consider not watching that video. Consider this the favorites video that I'm delivering to you, and then that video is more just a chance for me to share some things with you guys that I'm excited about that just happen to be things that came to me in PR, or things that I bought with my budget. I just wanted to give myself a chance to talk about them. I'll talk about this more in that video. I think there are pros and cons to that type of video. So I'll talk about the pros and the cons in the introduction to that video. I feel good about filming that video. I'm excited about it. And I want to be very articulate and clear about the fact that I'm not letting that kind of video infiltrate or change my favorites video. I hope that that makes sense. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. So for my actual favorites video, I've written down a few kind of style choices, makeup choices, trends that I've been enacting on my face. And then there are a couple of more lifestyle things that I've been really excited about this month. For the favorites, in terms of how I've been wearing my hair and makeup and jewelry and all that stuff, there are some products that I've been using to get those looks, but I'm making an active effort in this video to talk about the trends, to focus on the styling and not on the product. So I might sort of share certain products that I've been using from time to time, but these are all things that you can do with what you already own. So the first thing I have on the list is something that I talked about during my recent Shop My Stash video, which I believe will have posted on Saturday. It's the idea that more is more in some cases, and that a bright lip is often the exact cherry on top of a slightly busy outfit that you need to tie it all together and make it feel super intentional and make it feel like it's editorial in terms of the choices you're making rather than just kind of a mess or too much. The bright lipsticks that I was wearing that I had shot my stash for were one really kind of bright red orangey satin and another really, really opaque matte magenta. So I loved having those in my Shop My Stash and wearing them and using them to complete an otherwise already editorial outfit or an outfit that already had some pretty bold elements to it. That was a true favorite this past month. In fact, I should have done that today because this is the exact kind of outfit. It's the eyes with a ton of glitter sort of smoked out into a loose wing, these tassel earrings, and then this rather busy print shirt and the hair up in kind of a dramatic bun. This outfit is the perfect candidate for a bold lip. I'm actually going to put one on right now just to illustrate my point. So this is the very bright watermelon coral lipstick that I shopped my stash for this time, so it's currently in my Shop My Stash. Obviously it didn't look bad before. I was just wearing a gloss with this look. This look did not look bad with a gloss. I wasn't trying to imply that. And I'm sure that there are some of you who will have preferred the way that it looked before, or who would prefer to wear that yourselves if you happened to wear a dramatic high bun and tassel earrings and a chiffon butterfly shirt at some point in your life with a glitter eye, and you prefer that. Obviously it's like a strong, and then another strong statement, and the look was perfectly fine with just the 4 strong elements and not the 5th one. I just have been enjoying the way in which a bold lip can manifest the idea that more is more when you're putting together an eclectic outfit and an eclectic makeup look. It's been one of my favorites this month, and it's a perfect stylistic favorite because it's not about any one specific bold color. I did it with a very strong matte magenta, fuchsia, I guess. I did it with a satiny red orange, and then this month I shot my stash for rusty orange and for this kind of watermelon coral. And all of them are bold in totally different ways, therefore very different formulas, but they all serve the same purpose, and the idea is what's my favorite. It's not the lipsticks themselves that are my favorite, it's the idea that has been my favorite. Okay, the second thing that I have on my list is very glossy cheeks. Very glossy, and this I do have on my face today, and I have found a bunch of different ways. It's been really glossy cheeks that I've been into, but I haven't necessarily just been leaning on one product, which again makes it a perfect candidate for this kind of favorites video because it's not about the product, it's about the look. So when I say very glossy cheeks, I mean glossier than a powder highlight can usually get. When I have used a powder highlight to get the super glossy cheek looks that I've been into, I've been spraying my brush with the powder highlight and then buffing it using a very light, so this is how I'll do it. If I really want a glossy cheek with a powder highlight, I will get only the lightest amount onto the brush and tap it all, like tap a lot of it off so there's just the lightest amount, spray the brush or go onto a freshly sprayed face, and then buff and buff and buff and buff and buff and buff and buff. So it's almost like turning it into a semi-sheer, liquid, creamy, damp highlight. And then I can usually kind of get the look. But what I've been preferring is to use an extremely glowy primer on my cheeks. And key to this favorite has been not just keeping the gloss on the cheek, but also bringing it across this part of the face and across the nose and all over the nose and this part of the face. So it's been like gloss all across. Gloss all across is my favorite. That's what it's been. And I usually don't put color cosmetics or highlighting products here underneath my eyes because it can age me sometimes. But with super glossy products, if there's no powderiness at all, or if I've made sure to obliterate the powderiness by spraying, I've been really into that look for like a late summer, dewy, healthy glow. It's less makeup-y, which I really, really love. It's a little bit, it has that kind of slightly sunburned, shiny, almost greasy look, which isn't as kind of conventionally flattering as some ways in which we balance our makeup, but I have really been loving the general effect of that on the face. So that was what I wanted to share with you. So the way of tapping off, spraying, buffing and buffing, buffing, bringing it down across the nose, that's how I've been doing with the powder highlight. The second option is to use, I don't always use a super glossy or glassy primer all over my face if I'm using a regular different kind of primer, because I have a little bit of a selection of primers. Some of them are color correcting, some of them are mattifying, some of them are really, really sheeny, shiny, glassy, etc. What I'll do is I'll put the regular primer that I'm using on, and then I'll take a little bit of the shiniest primer that I have at hand, and I'll put it in that area. And then I'll take a cream color, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a shiny product, like a matte cream blush will work as long as that primer is really quite strong, and sometimes it's still a little bit damp. And then I'll buff a little bit of that cream color into the shiny primer, and again, like buff it all across and on the tip of the nose and everything. So basically mixing a cream blush with an illuminating primer is a way to get a really, really glossy face look. So that's been another way I've been doing it. And then the most obvious way is to have some kind of cream highlighting or cream highlighting blush product. And I have had a couple kind of come into my life recently that I've been enjoying using for this look, but I will save talking about them for the other video in which I'm really focused on introducing to you guys new products that I've been lucky enough to either purchase or test out. I've enjoyed many of them, but the products individually haven't been what I've loved on. What I've been loving is the look. So I wanted to share that with you here because it's actually what's more important. And if you're interested in trying a super glossy all across the face look, you probably have one of the concoctions that I was just discussing already. So you don't need to run out and buy something to try it out. Okay, the third thing that I have on my list says side bun, and then in parentheses, side bun with hoop earrings. If you watched my Shop My Stash, that video was in part sponsored by Ana Luisa. So I talked about this look at the beginning of that video because it was the perfect time to share it with you. And also if you saw my vlog, you will have seen that this is what I've been wearing almost daily. A bun on the side, like a messy side bun. I've actually mostly been doing it on this side with the medium-sized hoop earrings from Ana Luisa. They're right here. So these are the ones that I've been enjoying. But I would say side bun, messy side bun with any hoop earrings is kind of like been the look that I've been into. And you could maybe even go so far as to say like messy side bun with a bold modern earring or a bold graphic earring has kind of been the idea. It's not specific to, although I really love these Tia medium hoops from Ana Luisa and they have been my go-to, I'm not implying that you need to buy these exact hoops in order to try out what has been my favorite style. I think any kind of bold graphic, like earrings with a clean line, earrings that are kind of, you know, not too tiny and not too huge, that kind of like chunky middle-sized earring with a messy side bun with my bangs down. I've been enjoying doing that a lot, but you don't need bangs obviously to get that look. I think if your hair is long enough to get in a side bun, or even if your hair is shorter and you can just get a little like messy sort of side pigtail, like side pony, then you could kind of imitate that look. There's just been something about that I've been loving. It looks manicured in a way, but not too much, like not too styled, not over styled, not pretentious. It just is like kind of balanced. It's been this perfectly balanced look for me where I feel, it makes me feel cool, not too underdressed and not too overdressed in terms of how I've styled my hair and my jewelry. So I've really, really been into that, and it's been really almost every day off camera. That's what I've been wearing. Okay, and then the fourth, is this a style favorite? I guess we're kind of getting into like the lifestyle, it's like lifestyle favorites, but I have been dyeing. I shouldn't say I have been. One time I dyed some clothes. And I talked about it. I told literally the longest story that I've ever told in an intro. I told the story of like dyeing the top, my black and white striped top, yellow in the intro to, what video was it? Was it my empties? I think it might have been my empties video. I'm not even going to talk about dyeing my clothes in this video because I talked about it for so long in that video. The short story is that I dyed that shirt, and I also threw in an extra pair of linen pants that had been sent by Linden Fox when I ordered my second pair of linen pants from them. They added like a complimentary pair, and I put those in too, and they came out amazing. And I'll have put pictures, maybe I can put pictures in here too of those pants drying in the sun, or like a picture of me wearing them from my Instagram stories or something like that. But I'll put up a picture of the shirt and I'll put up a picture of the pants. Those are the two items of clothing that I dyed. And I had the dye packet. I used a kind of little dye packet from iDye that you just put in the wash. You just wash it with the dye and then you wash it again by itself and it comes out perfect. I think I'm going to re-dye the top with the chestnut dye. I had two dye packets, one sort of that ochre, bright golden ochre, and one that's called chestnut. It's like a warm brown. I'll probably put some other things in the chestnut dye wash too. I haven't decided yet, but I've been really excited about it. And it's one of those things like a small way in which you can refresh your wardrobe, dye something that's been stained, because that was the problem with that shirt. It had a stain on it. I have another white shirt that's stained. I'll probably throw in the chestnut dye wash. And it's just empowering. Like, it's good to be able to have clothes be kind of made new again with just I already had the dye because I had purchased it for my business a long time ago, but I think the dye packets are like $4. So it's not an expensive prospect to dye your clothes yourself in your washing machine. So I've just been loving that. And I even kind of have it in my head. A long time ago, some of you may remember, I had a balayage or ombre of purple. Sort of, it started out with like a really bright blue purple in my hair, and then I think I had it redone in like an orchid, almost like a red purple. And then I purchased a tube of ion dye, which is like a do-it-yourself semi-permanent hair dye in the color Radiant Orchid. I think it was when it was the color of the year. And so it's like this really brilliant, violet, like magenta purple. And that color works really well with my hair color because it's got similar tones. So my skin goes with it. It's not like I'm fighting my natural coloring. It's almost just like cartoon characterizing my natural coloring. It's making like a cartoon character out of me, where the already kind of rusty red of my hair, just the purple, it's turned like the dial's turned a little bit to purple, but it keeps that red undertone. So it works with like my eyes, my brows, my lips, etc., and with the makeup that I already own. So I used that ion dye to dye the ends of my hair a couple of times when it was still bleached. And since then, it was like a couple of years ago. Since then, it's grown out, it's been cut. There's no more bleached bits left in my hair. I think that the 2 times ago when I got it cut, the last of it was gone. But I still have like a third of the tube of the ion dye left. And the deep desire has come over me to mix that with a bunch of conditioner to sort of water it down and make it more pastel, and dye like my whole head, like all of my hair. It would be like a watered down orchid color, and it's semi-permanent, so it would probably just be a slight shift, a slight change. My hair would just look a little bit purple as opposed to the way that it looks now, and then it wouldn't last forever. I think washing my hair once a week, it would probably last a couple of months. I can't do it right away because I have some events coming up for which I need to look like the most professional version of myself. That doesn't happen all the time. I live a life where it would, in most cases, be okay for me to have purple hair, but I need to put it off for a month or 2 and just wait. So I have time to think about it. And I don't know, maybe I'll have it done professionally. I don't know. But what do you guys think? Should I dye my hair like a subtle orchid color? Should I do it? Comment down below. But make no mistake, whatever you comment, I will do what I want. But I'm curious to know what you think. I mean, I do know that the color would work for me. It's just it's like a question of styling. Do I want to have literally slightly purple hair for a couple of months? I think I kind of do. Anyway, that's been a favorite. dyeing my clothes, the idea of dyeing my clothes and my hair, the idea of being able to dye things yourself and add a little color into one's life without buying. I mean, in my case, I'm lucky because I had the dye. I already have the hair dye, so I haven't had to buy anything in order to think about these things. But if I had, it wouldn't have been very much of my budget. Just, you know, $3, $4, $5, $10. All right, so we've moved into the lifestyle things, like the things that I've really been enjoying. There are just a couple of them. One is watching the Natasha Denona YouTube channel. I have been subscribed to it for a long time, but I usually don't watch it. I think because the tutorials are so short. I just had to change my battery. I hope the frame is roughly the same. We do our best. I was saying that when I sit down to watch YouTube, I usually want to watch, like, I'm usually watching for a long time. Like, I'll put it on while I'm working, while I'm cooking. So 2-minute videos where you have to watch it, where it's all about watching it, that's not my jam in terms of my normal way of watching YouTube. But recently, a few times, I've just kind of gone onto the Natasha Denona YouTube channel and just watched a bunch of tutorials in a row at a time when I wanted something to literally sit and watch. And it's just been awesome because seeing her apply things in different shapes from what I usually do, and, you know, some slightly different ideas, the way that she talks about it. You don't need Natasha Denona eyeshadows to do what she does. All of the tutorials are demonstrating her palettes and stuff like that, but you just don't, I mean, you can dupe the vibes, and it's been really about the techniques for me and watching her make choices, and I've been really loving that. I feel like I wanted to mention it because it has had an effect on my makeup playtime and on the choices that I make when I sit down to do my makeup. I just feel like I'm learning from her, and it's a lovely little resource, and I don't really see people talking about it that much on here. Her aesthetic, particularly her way of doing makeup, kind of blown out, fluffy, smudgy, not super necessarily symmetrical. Though, I mean, it's not like it's unsymmetrical, but the kind of looks, it's not super graphic, although sometimes they do have graphic qualities. I also really love her color choices, obviously, because it's just my jam. So I take a lot of pleasure. I have been taking a lot of pleasure this month from occasionally sitting down and chain watching a bunch of Natasha Denona tutorials. And it's also the kind of thing that I feel like I can watch them a couple of times over. Like, I feel like I can learn more from them even watching them a second or a third time. So it's just been a cool little fun thing to do. It's been indulgent, but it's also gotten me thinking about different things in makeup, gotten my creative juices flowing, etc., etc. I did observe her in one video putting a duochrome eyeshadow all the way up to the brows, and I was like, aha! The other thing that I wanted to mention, and I did say in the video, in my empties video with the ridiculous introduction where I was talking about dyeing that top, I also talked about the fact that I have a trip to Disneyland planned for next weekend. And I started my thought, and then I failed to finish it in that video. So I decided to put it here in my favorites because the thing that I have to share actually is definitely a favorite. It's been something I've been thinking a lot lately. Basically, I was able to, what I said in that video was that I've been having some dark times lately. I've been a little bit on the struggle bus, and so it felt like a really good time to plan a trip to Disneyland. It feels like going with my friend and spending the whole day there will be a kind of therapy, like a really, really nourishing little break to take, and I'm really excited to be doing it. So I was saying that in the video, but what I meant to say and what I omitted to say is that the reason that I've never thought of myself as someone who can just up and go to Disneyland, you know, plan a trip 10 days out, apart from the fact that I haven't always lived close to Disneyland, but things like that, you know, I think that the ticket for the week that I'm going, like the price of the ticket that I bought was something like $120, something like that, maybe $125. Previously, I've always felt like someone who doesn't have $125 to just spend on a day, which is so ironic because I would go shopping and spend that amount or more than that amount at the drop of a hat. I would spend it at Sephora, I would spend it at clothing shops in the malls, I would spend it online. Before my no buy year, that didn't seem like a lot to spend for a day out shopping. But a ticket to a theme park, it just seemed so expensive, so untenably expensive, and I just never felt like I had a ticket to a theme park amount of money to spare without like planning and planning and planning, or putting some sort of gift towards it, or putting some sort of savings towards it. I just never felt lush enough to be able to go to theme parks unless it was a super special occasion, like my sister is visiting or something like that. But now I do. I have some savings, and it's because of budgeting. It's because of my no buy year, and it's because of budgeting. It's because I haven't been spending $125 on every trip to the mall every weekend, or spending it online willy-nilly whenever I want something, whenever I want a new release, whenever I feel like I don't have the right thing in my wardrobe. Because I've been so strict with myself about budgeting, when my friend was like, let's go to Disneyland, and I looked at the schedule and I realized that I could, and I also realized that I really wanted to, and that I feel like it would be really nourishing for me. It's like what Prachi talks about. It's real self-care. I mean, I know maybe it sounds a little absurd to talk about Disneyland that way, but maybe not, right? It's kind of like therapy. Like it's like a therapy session. It's like an all-day therapy session in a weird way. Real self-care rather than spending on the trappings of self-care, like bath bombs and makeup and skincare and all of this stuff that really doesn't go very far towards actually nourishing the spirit and actually caring for the self. But this trip, spending the day with my friend, taking pains to set aside a whole day where I don't do any work, because I work most days, all day, almost all day, most days, including the weekend, with filming and with my regular job and with my writing work and everything. I almost never spend a whole day not working. I almost never take a whole day off of work, is what I've been trying to say in my clumsy way. So even setting aside a whole day where I don't work, even that is a much truer form of self-care than spending $125 at the mall would be. When it occurred to us, I had no qualms about being able to afford the ticket. And that was such a good feeling. And actually, possibly even a better example, a more important example, is the trip that I took home to surprise my parents and my friends Herbie and Marnie for their vow renewal, what I vlogged about. That was a plane ticket from the West Coast to the East Coast. That, I mean, I'm someone who really, up until very, very recently, sometimes couldn't afford my own plane ticket home for the holidays and had to ask for that as like a Christmas present. As an adult woman in my 30s, there have been some years recently where I've been like, instead of getting me a present, it would like maybe just help me with travel, like help me get there, because I felt like I couldn't afford it. And holiday travel can be quite expensive, especially if you don't plan and buy a ticket in advance. I did get lucky. I shopped for tickets. I flew to DC, which was much less expensive than flying to Charlotte would have been. So it wasn't like it's not like I'm just rolling in money and I can like fly coast to coast eating scrambled eggs and toast. It's not like that. It's just that when I weighed how much I wanted to go, I found a ticket that I felt like I could afford, even though it was several $100s. I mean, let's be totally honest, it was several $100s. And that's new. It's just new. Even though I was on a no buy for a year and I've been budgeting for almost a year, it still feels brand new for me to be able to just last minute decide to fly across the country and have enough of a cushion that I feel comfortable doing that. And again, I want to reiterate, it's not like it didn't make a dent. Like, it made a dent in my savings. And now I'm very conscientious about the fact that I want to like add that back into my savings as soon as possible. I'm thinking about like plugging that hole. It's not nothing to me. Like the ticket to Disneyland and the plane ticket, it's not nothing to me. But the fact that I was able to buy those tickets is a really, really, really big deal. And that's probably my favorite of maybe the past quarter, definitely the past month. I just feel so much more empowered to literally live my best life and literally take care of myself, because that trip to North Carolina was so much healthier for me than spending even those same hundreds and hundreds of dollars on skincare and makeup and clothes would have been. It was just so much healthier. That was real self-care. That's really how I want to be spending my life and spending my money. So I wanted to share that with you guys, it's a true favorite to have, the trip was a favorite, the trip to Disneyland, the fact that I'm planning that trip is a favorite, but the thing that's my favorite about them is the fact that I'm able to do it at all. Go budgeting, go. It's really, really continuing to deliver. All right, and then the last little thing on the list, I watched Macy's favorite, I think it was her favorites video, the last favorites video that she posted. It was a while back at this point. Macy, we miss you, we love you. I love Macy so much. I know she's been super, super busy, so I totally understand why she hasn't been able to post a lot lately. It might even been the most recent video she posted I watched, and she talked about this show Troll Hunters as one of her favorites. She was like, you've got to watch Troll Hunters, Troll Hunters. And I maybe cottoned on when she was talking about that it was an animated show. When I looked it up, I saw what it was. It's created by Guillermo del Toro. It's an animated show that, to me, owes a lot to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and then maybe one other. I just felt like intense, constant references, especially to Buffy and Harry Potter throughout. But I live for that. I live. And I tried to get Joe to watch it with me. I showed him like the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and he was like, I think this is for babies. And I was like,
but I am that kind of baby.
I was like,
if it's for babies, I don't want to be a grown-up.
But Joe watches a bunch of shows. I mean, he's not sort of hurting for shows to watch, whereas I tend to be much, much more picky. And Troll Hunters is really to my taste, and it wasn't to his taste. So I did something that I almost never do, because I watch very little television, and Joe loves television so much that it's one of the things that I do with him for us to like spend time together. So we'll like watch a show together over the course of several weeks, maybe half an episode every day or one whole episode every day, depending on how long it is. And that's enough TV for me. Like, I don't really watch TV by myself. But I really wanted to watch Troll Hunters, and it was definitely August. Like, this was a while back. This is a true August favorite. I did go through a pretty dark, I would say 10 days in August, kind of for no reason. It was just one of those things, like a dip in my mental health that was rough, but not so meaningful or not so integrated into my overall journey with budgeting and shopping that it was worth like talking about in my check-in or anything. Like, it just happens from time to time, you guys. Like, I go through very bad spells. So I went through this bad spell, and what I did was I watched Troll Hunters the whole time. And it saved me. It saved me from my flea-bitten self. It was so perfect. I watched all of Troll Hunters. There are 3 seasons, and then there are 2 seasons of sort of a supplementary, like a second show called 3 Below, which is about Troll Hunters is like about trolls. 3 Below is about aliens, and then there's going to be a third show which will probably only have 1 season because it's like 3, 2, 1. That's going to be about wizards. I just loved it, and I just wanted to share it with you because I'm so glad that Macy mentioned it on her channel. Even though it's kind of for babies, it's like an animated Buffy the Vampire Slayer / Harry Potter situation. If that sounds like too babyish for you, then you shouldn't watch it. But if you're like me and you do like that kind of thing from time to time, and especially if you're kind of on the struggle bus, if you're going through the gigs and you need something to just get lost in a little bit, especially if you need something other than shopping. Like if you tend to default to browsing Sephora and you want something to just suck you in and you haven't stumbled across Troll Hunters yet, it could be the thing. It could be the one. It's on Netflix. That's how I watched it. We have Netflix, and I'm really looking forward to the last little season, the Wizard season. I don't know. It's supposed to come out sometime this fall, but I don't know exactly when. All right. That's it. Those are all of my non-product specific favorites from the month of August, and probably a little bit from the month of September. Just everything I've been loving recently in terms of putting on my face, doing with my body, doing with my budget, or the fact that I have savings because I'm budgeting, etc., etc. You get the point. The video is over. Thank you so much for watching this one. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself for real, so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.